Hello and welcome back to Xplane 11. Today I'm flying this DC-3. We're doing a flight sim economy flight. We're heading from ENBO over to ENEV. We're going to drop off 8 passengers there and then continue on to ENAN, which will be our final destination. It's not too long of a journey and we're going to make $18,000 from it, minus our costs of course, so we should make a decent little chunk. We're going to get airborne, and then we'll have another quick channel update. I know it's all I seem to do these days, but yeah, we'll chat over the reasons why once we get airborne. Let's get rid of this, and we shall hop inside the cockpit of this DC-3. I do love this texture. I think this is a Canadian registered. I think the C is for Canada. I'm not sure. But anyway, in we go. It's an okay cockpit. I guess the Autopilot is how they actually would have had it in a proper DC-3. I'm not sure, never seen the inside of one. But let's get these engines started. So we want the battery on first. And get some nav lights on, that also turns on our beacon, I think. I don't know a lot about this plane, I've only flown it a handful of times. We're going to get engine number 2 started up, so we'll get that on. Grab some mixture. Turn on the boost pump and give her a start. There we go, nice and easy. I don't think this this plane manages its engines like you would have to normally. It is a fairly basic simulation in that regard. So we're going to flick on the left engine. It helps if I turn on the magnetos first. There we go. Right, okay, so we're good. 2 engines running. Should probably get the generators turned on for them. That would help. And flick off that boost pump. I think that's all we need to do for now. We'll flick on the tail light, because why not? And yeah, we should be pretty good. I need to get the flight management planned. So you can see I'm not flying to Bristol. That was my test flight that I did. So let's delete that. And I'm going to plan all this in together. Right, so that's got all that loaded in. So our cumulative distance is only 139 miles, so not too far at all. The ATIS here is 1239, so let's go ahead and swap over and listen to that. Right, so we have information November. So we set our ATIS, we're going to take off to the east. Should be good. I think we're good to go. Oh, I need to load the passengers. That would help, wouldn't it? I should probably have done that before starting the engines, thinking about it. Let's go ahead and log in and start our flight. There we go. So we've got 21 passengers loaded and 400 gallons of fuel. We've got loads of fuel for this journey. Right, that's all loaded and good to go. I think we're ready. I'm not sure if this thing's got taxi lights. I haven't seen any, so I've just been using a single landing light. I don't know what passing light is. We'll use a single landing light. That's what I've been rolling with. Need to set our squawk. I'm just going to go with a VFR squawk for this. Right, there we go. So we're going to go 1200. I think that's the squawk code in Europe. We're in Norway, by the way. If I don't think I've mentioned that. Well, we're in Norway. So everything else seems to be set fine. I believe we check our taxi map. So I'm going to want to taxi down here. It's quite hard to see on this map view. I think there's a taxiway there. So yeah, we're going to go all the way down and then cross over and then back. I'll see you at the runway. Right then, here we go. Let's get the landing lights on. All ready to go. I think we're good on everything else. Maybe, not sure, we'll find out. Let's go with a 3rd flaps-ish. That's my trim button. That'll do us. I think my trims are set fine. The problem I found with this aircraft is from the default position, you can't see any of the trim gauges. So yeah, trims look alright, we'll just centralise that one out a little bit. Sorted. And then we'll head back into our seat. Right. Let's release some brakes, bit of power, and we'll roll out onto the threshold. We're good on final. Probably need our strobe on as well at this point.
7.
No point waiting around, we're just going to go for it. So slowly ease up. Get the RPM set, we'll get ourselves straight, that would help. And then we'll go for 45-ish on the manifold pressure. It wants to fly already. There we go. I'm not sure if this flight modelling is correct, because we used about half of the displaced threshold before we took off there. Right, we're up. Let's go gear up. Let's reduce our manifold pressure. Gonna come back to 35. And then we need to bring our prop RPM back to 2400. There we go. And then we need to begin our turn. So if I clear our flight plan out of there, we can see it's just a slight adjustment out to the left. We're going to go up to probably around 10 or 11,000 for this flight. Just going to begin a turnover. Start to get rid of some of our flaps. Build up a little bit of speed. And we'll get back on course. Right, we're going to be flying up through some clouds. Ideally, I'd like to get the autopilot set. I'm not 100% confident on the autopilot in this thing. Let's get rid of the rest of those flaps. Try and get some airspeed up. I think the idea is that you get the aircraft trimmed out and then just turn the autopilot on and it holds it there for you. You can make adjustments. So if I match the elevator marker to where I am now... I'm not sure. I think I might wait until we get through these clouds. I'll hand fly it through the clouds. And then when we get up the other side, we'll go and switch the autopilot on. Right, so we've just made it out the top of the clouds, and I think I've got the autopilot set up correctly. So we are in a climb at the moment. We're climbing at 1,000 feet a minute, and we are just passing through 5,500. Probably stop at about 11,000, haven't really decided. I've gave us a little bit of power just to boost us up through the clouds, because it wasn't fun, especially while trying to set the autopilot. Now, the only thing I haven't been able to get it to do is to stop drifting. So when I first put the autopilot on, we were on 027 a track off. We're now on 024. You probably can't see that. Be able to if I zoom in a bit more. Now that's with the ailerons in the central position. Now I think it's to do with my rudder trim. So I may need, but the ball's in the middle, so I don't quite know what I'm doing wrong. I'm going to try and work it out when we get into the cruise on this flight. Right, so we've reached our cruising altitude, so we need to set cruise power. So if we go ahead and look at our little sheets down here, our cruise power is 32 on our manifold pressure and 2,000 RPM. So we're going to bring our manifold pressure down a bit. Now this would change when we change the RPM, so it doesn't need to be accurate. We're going to come down to 2000 RPM. There's 2000, and then we can aim for 32 on the manifold pressure. And there we are. And now I think we just play with the elevator controls until we find the neutral climb point. And then we shouldn't climb too high so that everyone, including myself, dies of hypoxia. There we go, that's pretty much stable. I'm going to play around with that and make sure it gets right. Obviously, as we speed up, our climb rate's going to increase, so we just need to play with that until it's level at our cruising speed. We've got about 27 minutes to run. We are picking up some speed, so I estimate that to be about 20 minutes till we get there. So I'm going to do the usual, give you some beauty shots. Right, so we're about 37 miles out, just a bit further. We're going to grab the ATIS. Right, so we have information Oscar. We're going to begin a descent here. I'm going to drop the power slightly, but we'll keep our speed up. Now, I think if I worked this out properly, there we go, we can begin a descent, and not too quick, hopefully. There we go, 1,000 feet per minute, roughly. It's coming back up. Please go back down. I have noticed the autopilot in this likes to bounce. So it pulls up, and then back down, up and back down. We have a look down here. Yeah, it's not too bad here, but over time it builds itself up. It resonates essentially, and it got quite bad on the climb out, so hence why you probably didn't see too much of the climb. Oh, and also the weather updated really weirdly, so I've got this set to match the real weather, so it goes away and downloads every hour and gets the new weather information. So it was all like full on cloud, couldn't see the ground at all, and then weather updated and we can see the floor. So it's brilliant and lovely, and we've got visual conditions for landing. So we're going to be going into 3.5, which is on a bearing of 351. There is no ILS or anything to tune into. There would be if we were coming in from the other direction, but they're not landing that runway. So, but conditions are really good, so we're going to go in for the visual. We've still got how many minutes? We've got about 10 minutes to run, so I'm not going to make you sit here and listen to my monotone voice for those 10 minutes. We're going to skip ahead and probably join me somewhere on final approach. Right, I believe I have the runway in sight, so I'm going to go ahead and disengage the autopilot.
Autopilot disengaged.
Right, a nice little handy call out from our chap. We're going to reduce power even more. I stopped our descent because I couldn't see the runway and I was getting a little bit nervous. But what we're going to do is we are going to fly along this river here. It's on the left-hand bank of this river. If I quickly show you the chart. Now this is the chart for runway 17, because I was originally planning on doing the ILS. But if I bring that up for you. So what we are able to see is we have this river, which is the river I'm descending into right now, and then the runway is just here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to drop our power down a little bit. When I leveled out, I apparently gave us a bit too much. And then hopefully, by the time we get to our final, we should be at a decent altitude, because we're still way up at 5,500 feet now. We may have to do a circle, just to reduce our altitude, because, yeah, we sort of misjudged this a little bit. We'll see how it goes. We're down to a decent altitude now, and the airport is just up on this inlet on the left here. I'm going to go ahead and drop our gear. And we're going to get some flaps in as well. As 50% flaps. Now typically as we've got down quite low, the fog has come in. So I can't quite see the runway now. I've lost its position. But it's in here on the left somewhere. So we're going to fly in and hopefully we see it before we have to land. I know that's probably not how you're supposed to do it. I think it's this here. I'm not 100% sure. I give myself a bit of distance. Just in case it's not. Yeah, that must be the runway. Okay, cool. Right, runway spotted. Let's get some landing lights on. And we turn on our tail light, because why not? We're looking good. Drop our altitude slightly. So if we look at our nice handy little cheat sheet down here, our final, so in range is 23 on our manifold pressure, final is 20 on the manifold pressure, all at 2000 RPM. Right, let's begin our turning towards. And we want about 23, we can up it if we need to, not technically in range yet. Okay, I can see the Pappy. Our gear is down, our flaps are coming down to full now. Flaps are down, our landing lights are good, not worrying about landing clearance.
3-5.
We've got the right runway. We've got light wind, so nothing to worry about really. Now this says that the final speed should be 85. Now I've tried landing at that speed and it seems a bit quick. So I guess I should follow it. Let me get the yoke back up on screen. There we go. I really haven't mastered landing this thing, as I mentioned earlier. We're very high now, but we're slow, so we can push our nose down. There we go. Please make this a good landing. Off the centre line. Let's drop the nose. Come on. Oh, nosediving. Nosediving. Okay. So that was an incredibly long landing, but I hope you can see what I mean when I say the 85 mile an hour landing speed was a bit too high, because we came in way too quick then, even without my little dive at the end. At 85 we would have just floated all the way down the runway, unless I'm doing it wrong, which I probably am. Okay, we're going to exit off the taxiway here. Going to get rid of our landing lights, and our tail light can stay on. We'll then get rid of some of our flaps, or all of our flaps. There we go. I managed to get most of them just as we were turning off. And I guess we can just park straight ahead. We're only stopping here very briefly, and then we are continuing on to our final destination. So that's all passengers swapped over, or that we dropped off the ones that we don't need to take anymore. We've got a KC-10 extender over there. That's pretty cool. I'm not sure where that's going to go. That might cause a problem, because these AI planes, they really don't like us, normally. They don't obey rules of anything, really. Okay, well, let's see how that goes. We're going to head out to the runway and hopefully don't get killed by a KC-10 extender. It looks like we might actually get to see this KC-10 take off. I think it's a KC-10. Am I going mad? Let's have a look. No, it is a KC-10 extender. Okay, cool. So this thing's like a refueling aircraft. Now I'm going to just very slowly taxi up, because I actually want to see his takeoff. That's quite cool. See if he takes off properly. Not that I ever do, you know. Off he goes. And are you going to roll off the end of the runway? That's what they normally do in this game/simulator. No, he actually took off properly. Awesome. I've seen lots of attempts where aircraft have tried taking off a runway that's way too small for them, and they just roll off the end of the runway. I think it's normally the Hercules that suffers that problem. Last little bit of taxiway to go, so we'll dump our landing lights back on. We shall drop some flaps. Okay, a little bit too quick. That's fine. Final looks good that way. Our GPS has automatically, or it's detected that we landed here, so it swapped itself over. It's good. So we are clear. We are clear. Sorry about the movements, by the way. I'm trying to reduce it. I sometimes forget, though.
Approaching 3-5. On runway 3-5.
Right, we're lined up. Flaps are down. We are good to go. Increase the manifold pressure. We can use up to 48 should we need to. I think we're going to hold it there. And up we go. We're good. We've got a positive rate. Let's get our gear up. Gear's coming up. We're going to start our turn. I also need to get better with my rudder inputs when turning, especially in large aircraft like this. The thing I find difficult is I've mentioned this a few times before, I'm using the pedals from a G27 racing wheel, partly because it's all I've got. I don't really want to shell out on a proper foot pedal control system thing, so yeah, they're quite sensitive. I'm making the most of them. Clear of the runway, so let's go into our climb power setting. So we want to come back to 24,000 or 2400 RPM, sorry, 2400, and it says 35 on the manifold pressure, but we're going to go down to about 39 or 40 just to help us climb out a little bit better. Let's get rid of half of the flaps. Try and build up a little bit of airspeed. And we'll get rid of the rest of the flaps. So we can do about the same thing. This is a much shorter flight, so I may only go up to about 7,000 or 8,000. It depends how these clouds are looking when we get up there. Decided to level off between sort of 4 and 4.5. We'll climb up to 4.5 and then we'll level out properly. But we're going to cruise out the aircraft. So we're going to go down to 20... Oh, I'm always doing this at the moment. 2,000 RPM. There we go, and then we're going to reduce our manifold pressure down to about 32. Sorted, right, that is us cruised. We shall try and level out the elevator now. We're looking good. We're okay. See, this is the sort of bouncy nature that I was talking about. Obviously, I think there is turbulence simulated in this. Not sure. I think there is. There must be. So it might be that. But you can also see the trim goes a bit nuts. I think we're good. I think we are good. I'm going to level out here because the clouds were looking pretty nasty. They've since updated, but we'll be fine. This is only going to take us 17 minutes and we are still increasing our speed. So, yeah. Now, as promised, I need to do a channel update type thing. I haven't posted a video in 9 months. What the hell is going on? So, at the start of the year, if you've obviously watched some of my back catalogue, you may have seen the video where I said I wanted to do at least a video a week. That didn't happen, quite obviously. I've changed a few jobs, a lot of stuff's happened, a lot of things went on, and I just lost all interest, really, to be honest. I want to try and turn that around. I don't know if it will. We'll find out. I do see I still have the notifications set up on my phone, so I get comment notifications, subscribe notifications, and actually this month, November, has been going nuts. I don't quite know how, but getting a lot more subscribers, so hence the reason I've got a couple of days off work. We're having some work done on our garage. So, yeah, I just figured, why not? We'll crack on and we'll make a video. I might make a couple more, I don't know. Depends how I feel over the next couple of days. But yeah, that's where we are with things. I'm going to try, but honestly, I wouldn't expect it. We'll see what happens. I do generally have a lot more time over winter. So in the summer, I teach a local Sea Cadet unit. So a lot of my weekends and evenings are taken up with them. In the winter, there isn't really a lot of boating that we can do, so I have some more free time. We'll see what happens. just one thing to note for all the people who have stuck around, and obviously all the new people who are subscribing and still commenting on the videos. I do just want to thank you. Obviously most channels die after 9 months of not posting anything, so the fact that it's still going, you know, we've still got like an insane amount of subscribers for the content that I produce. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. Thank you for sticking around. It really is great to see those notifications come through. So here we are then. We have the runway in sight, or it was before this massive cloud appeared in front of me. So let's disengage the autopilot, and we're going to start reducing our altitude down. Bump up the RPM a little bit. I'm not sure why that was so low. Now, fun fact, a little bit of breaking the fourth wall, not that it really exists. While that flight was going on, I had to go down and eat dinner, so thankfully I rushed it down and I just got back for this moment. So, you know, that could have been quite bad, otherwise we would have just ended up somewhere in the Arctic Circle, I guess. Bring our power all the way down. See the runway, we are very high, so I'm going to do a couple of turns and hopefully reduce the altitude. Should probably get the ATIS. What is the frequency here? Oh, it doesn't have one, unless is that... I don't know. Okay, we'll just read it from here then. So wind is light, 2971. That's fine, that's what we had set previously. Hang on, is that the runway just in front of me? That is the runway just in front of me. So what was I looking at earlier? Okay, this approach is, yeah, something else. Gear is down. Half of our flaps are down. We've got 1,000 feet, so I still need to drop our altitude. And then get ourselves up to our manifold pressure and RPM.
Approaching 3, 2.
I guess this airport just doesn't have airport information or automatic information. I guess you'd have to phone up the tower and ask for the latest weather information. Or I could be completely wrong. Far over to the right. I think we've got a crosswind. It feels like we have. Landing long, but it's not necessarily an issue. Let's try and make it smooth. Yeah, not really. We bounced. Drop the power right down. And we got a tail wheel on the ground. I'm going to vacate on the next taxiway. Oh, one thing I realised as well, if you are doing a flight sim economy flight in Xplane and you try and go into the replay function, that counts as your aircraft moving, so it counts it as slew, so the flight sim cancels, or the flight sim economy cancels. Notice that just after takeoff, you should have had a shot of the takeoff roll. If I included it, I should have done. And yeah, the second I went in to do that, the FSEconomy failed, so I had to go and land, pick up the passengers once again, and take off. So I need to make sure I completely finish this bit before going back and doing that. Have a little look at the airport map here. We're going to get our landing lights turned off and our strobe. There we go. So it looks like the main terminal is over here to the left. Not that it's really a terminal, it's just a slightly bigger bit of concrete. So there we are, that is the flight done. Let's drop our mixtures off, shut the engines down. Probably should have turned the generators off first, but never mind. And we shall hand in our FSEconomy, or flight sim economy, so let's finish our flight. And there we go, so total flight time for this second flight was 34 minutes, and we used just under 100 gallons of fuel. So shouldn't be too bad. If we have a look at our Flight Sim Economy webpage, we should see that we have 10,000 in cash, so 10,400. So a fairly decent amount. Not as much as I would have liked, but you know, 8 grand in costs for 10 grand in profit. Yeah, we'll take that. It's not my own plane, so I had to rent it and all that other jazz. But if you made it this far, I want to thank you so much for watching. I know not a lot of people will make it this far, but so the ones that have done, thank you so much. You're amazing. Like I said earlier on, I should be bringing more content, but I'm not sure. It depends how things go with my new job, etc, etc. Enough excuses. Any more I want to fit in? I don't think so. Thank you for watching. I shall hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.